Hi, this is Kathy Goodwin, and today we're going to talk about Be Your Own Guru tip number 2, which is about networking. Where do we get the DIY Guru series? Well, it's modeled after books you see like Be Your Own Shrink, Be Your Own Doctor, Take Your First Steps to Be Your Own Veterinarian. You'll see those in any bookstore or library. It's important to understand that, as with these books, sometimes you have to consult a professional, and sometimes you have to consult a top professional like a guru. What you can do with the do-it-yourself program and with your do-it-yourself books is you gain momentum, you get a sense of what's involved, you see what you need, you see what you don't need. So in the end, you choose your own guru, your own program, or you decide that after all, you really don't need one. So briefly, what do we mean by guru? Gurus are high-powered mentors who market intensely and have stunning successes. They charge $10,000 to $20,000 for a yearly program if you want to be a real guru. They will accelerate your success if you're a good fit, and they will kill your budget and maybe your business if you're not a good fit. So we're going to look at networking, which is one of the recommendations. Just about every guru, in fact, just about every coach will recommend some form of networking, and I do the same when I work with my own clients. What's involved in networking? First, you meet people who have the potential to become your clients. You meet people who can connect you with clients. So for example, if you're a life coach and you work with people who have issues with transition, you might meet a chiropractor who has clients who are in different stages of stress and who are open to these kinds of healing and these kinds of consultations, and that person might be a good referral source for you. You build the know, like, and trust factor. A lot of people feel better after they've seen you face to face. And the other thing that happens is if you show up over and over, there's something to be said for showing up. Lots of research shows that familiarity breeds not contempt, but liking. There's something about saying, oh, I've seen you before, that shows up even if you see the person over and over again at a bus stop, let alone a networking meeting. Ideally, what will happen is you'll be going to meetings, and let's say you're a designer. Someone is attending the meetings, they get to know Joan the designer, so then they have a friend who says, gee, I'm looking for a designer, and they say, Joan. It's like a word association test. Designer Joan from all those networking meetings. That's the way it works in an ideal situation. So how do you become your own guru? How do you get started and test the waters? Well, first, take the dog park test. Here's what that means. I have a dog, as you probably know, and when I go to the dog park and I watch my dog playing with other dogs, I'm usually talking to someone else. We're standing there trying to see if our dogs are going to do any damage to each other or to the park or do something that will embarrass us or get us booted. And while we're doing that, we're exchanging conversation. And let's pretend that you're there and you're trying to say to me, here's what I do. Can you explain that in just a few sentences? Because we don't have a lot of time and we're really not focused too intensely. So it has to be something that's easy to grasp in a short amount of time. If you can do that, you're ready for networking meetings. Craft an elevator story. This is not just what you do, as in the dog park test. This is really a kind of a pitch. It's without being a pitch. This is a way of saying, here's what I do, here's why I'm great, here's why people need me. Classic example, a dog trainer. A dog trainer might say something like, I work with big dogs who jump and pull. My specialty is dogs who have been tried 3 other trainers and nothing's worked. Usually we can get good results in 6 weeks or less, and I train with gentleness, no force, no harshness. That would be a very compelling story to someone who has a big dog that's jumping on people, because if you've got a big shepherd that weighs 100 pounds that knocks people over, you got a problem. Choose venues with a good return on investment, ROI, for you. That's really critical. I think that's the secret to successful networking. I've met so many people who go to events and they say, okay, I'm marketing my business, I went to an event and I talked to these people, and it's an event where they're not likely to meet anyone who is a significant, serious prospect. So it's critical to choose events and venues that make sense for you. For example, a lot of people go to these leads groups like BNI, and that can be very effective for some people. You have to remember that's a major commitment that takes money. There are also some women's groups and some other kinds of groups that require a fairly significant, hefty annual fee and some requirements associated with membership. So before you do that, make sure you check them out. A lot of these groups say you can only come once or twice as a guest, and then you must buy. I find that really difficult. I can't understand why they would do that, why they would not want you to take more time to get to know them. I understand they want to build membership, but that seems desperate. So try to be very careful if you're in that situation, because a lot of those groups, there's a reason why they want to push for more members. So I would be really careful. A lot of them may, you could spend a lot of time and money, and you could be spending that money and time building a better website, getting traffic traffic to your website, going to a different kind of networking event, holding online teleseminars. You have a lot of choices, so be very fussy and very selective about your venues. Follow-up is absolutely critical to networking. Everyone will tell you that. I will tell you that. Everyone will tell you, because that's where the networking really happens. A lot of times, if you're at a good networking event, and this is one way to tell a good networking event, is that people will say, let's meet for coffee, or sometimes they'll say, let's talk on the phone. A bad venue is one, like one I went to, where someone calls me up out of the blue, and it's the middle of the day, and she says, oh, I met you, I just wanted to talk. And she's asking, I said, well, why do you, I'm busy, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, I've got stuff going on. Well, I just thought I'd see what you did, and then we could talk about your business and my business. This is a clueless person, and it really says a lot about the event. Now, every place has clueless people, but if you're seeing a bunch of them, then you need to get out of there. A good follow-up is someone who says, we met, and here are some ways I think that we can connect, and I'd like to meet and talk to you about this. Ideally, they'll be fairly specific. If not, then you can get on the phone and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you. Can you just, can we chat a little bit what you're looking for, or something, or maybe exchange another email. If you have a lot of time on your hands, well, first of all, you shouldn't, but if you do, then yeah, you can go to every single coffee event that you're invited to. But I recommend being somewhat selective, even in the early stages, because I've been in some where people will just try to sell you something for a solid 20 or 30 minutes, and try to choose venues for coffee that are convenient and that make sense to you. But if you find yourself getting some invitations after every meeting, that's usually a good sign. It means that people are serious networkers and they know what they're doing, especially if they're smart people and the sessions are at least professional and informative. Finally, take massive action. Everyone I talk to who is successful in networking does a lot. For example, I met someone who went to a networking event every single day, sometimes 2 a day, for a solid 3 months. He was extremely successful. That is a major commitment. He happens to be really good. He's not only extroverted, but he's got a great personality and a great style. People really resonate with him. He makes a good appearance. He talks well. So he did very well with that. People who are successful may not do every day for 3 months, but I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, if at all possible, will get you results. If you go to an event once a month, that's really not very helpful. And that's why you have to budget your time and your locations and choose venues only that are working for you, because you're using your time in a different way. So, is this guru recommendation appropriate for you? The reason we're going to talk about this is, let's say that you want to hire a mentor. You need to ask ahead of time, is networking a major part of the program that when you work with clients? Almost always they'll say yes. If it's a core part of the program, then you need to ask them some questions, because if this is not for you, you will be a miserable client and they will be a miserable mentor, or a frustrated, disgusted, sour mentor. You don't want that. So here's some ways to tell if this is right for you, and the kind of help you can ask for from a mentor or a consultant, or even someone in a mastermind group. First of all, do you have a specialized service? If your service is so esoteric and so specialized that only a few people will even understand what you do, then networking may not be the place for you. You may have to go to very select professional events. Do you live in a very small town or a very small city? Some cities are like small towns, even if they seem big. I lived in a very small town for several years, and networking was totally unrealistic in that environment. In some places, there are only a few groups that are open, and there are different cultures about networking. Philadelphia is a very good networking culture, at least as some places I've found. I've been in other places where networking just didn't happen. Some cultures support things like seminars, live seminars, where you invite people. Other cultures, it just doesn't happen. So you need to evaluate the culture of your city. Sometimes you can hire a mentor to work with you and help you evaluate the culture, but ultimately this is something you're going to have to do before you dig into networking in a big way. Elevator speech. Okay, we all hear that with a sinking feeling in our stomach, like an elevator going down too fast. Well, an elevator speech is something, it's different from your dog park talk, because you're not just describing yourself here, you're promoting, you're saying why you're unique. So a good example would be a dog trainer who says, I work with big dogs whose owners have had trouble getting them trained, even if they've been to 2 or 3 different trainers. What I do is I have a very gentle treat-based training, no force, no harshness, and we generally see results within 6 weeks. That would be a powerful outline for an elevator speech for a dog trainer, because a lot of people have big dogs or know someone who has big dogs. And if you've got a 100-pound German Shepherd who's jumping on people and knocking them over, you have a problem, and you know you've got a problem. Do you have confidence? Can you walk into a room and walk up to people? Because you got to do that. It's very rare that you can be quiet and just stand there and have people come up to you. So it does happen. If you're I've been in situations where sometimes I've just been getting something to drink, or I've been taking a break from talking to someone and people come up to me. And of course that does happen. But ultimately you have to take the initiative to go up and introduce yourself. A lot of meetings go around, everyone talks to each other and introduces themselves. And you make notes, and afterwards you go up and make sure you talk to whoever seems to make sense for you. If you have trouble with this, if you're really painfully shy or you're not confident, then this is where a mentor can help in some cases. Make sure that's what you want, and make sure that's what you ask for when you work with a mentor. And make sure when you're at a networking meeting that you know what to ask for very clearly. That'll help a lot. What about creative tactics? For example, something that's very useful to do is to have an event like a teleseminar or a live event, or maybe you have an article coming out in a local paper. Invite people. That's a very good way to distinguish yourself and say, by the way, I'm going to be speaking next Thursday at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to be recording the talk, and if you'd like to hear something, let me know, give me your card. It's a good way to connect and to let people know you're active, and also you're extending an invitation, which is a friendly thing to do. Is more controversial is the idea of bringing a gift. Some marketing coaches will tell you to bring a candle or a piece of candy or something to a networking event. My own feeling is I think that's a fairly unsophisticated strategy, unless you're at a very specific kind of group where people like it, and you may or may not fit into that type of group. For example, I was at a networking event one time when this one woman who did something with fashion brought little simple necklaces as little party favors. They're a pain. What do you do with them? I don't have room to keep them at home. So you got to get rid of them, and you can't just toss them. So I think I left mine at the table and pretended I forgot it. So you have to think about, is this something you want to do? But in some events and some venues, for some services, this can be extremely powerful to do. So let's start networking. Here's how I can help. First, I have the marketing turnaround session. This is where we talk about one obstacle or question or challenge you have in your marketing that is keeping you from moving forward. It can be big or it can be small. We have a very effective 60 to 90 minute session with before and after. It's a complete program to help you turn around your biggest obstacle or challenge. Second, I have an ebook, Choose Your Marketing Mentor. This is one that you can just download very quickly, very easily, and it's fun. And it's a very good way to make sure that when you hire a mentor, you'll get the biggest bang for your buck. You'll get a good return on investment. Finally, I have my free gift. It's an ebook, 3 Common Branding Mistakes, that you can get at copybranding.com. Thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on a future video and perhaps a one-to-one consultation. Have a wonderful rest of the day.